The purple's coming through real nice this time. The red really complements it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's starting to wash out. My roots are growing in and everything, but it's whatever.
That's all right. You get it touched up, babes. It'd be all right.
I will be doing that at some point.
You gonna do Billie Eilish and do like a green into a black?
I don't think I'm cool enough to pull off that look. I think I'm sticking to it the way that it is. Although, yeah, I don't know. I think that eventually, if I get tired of the purple, I'm going to do a green.
Cool.
But that's the only other color I really kind of want to do. Blue. I'm not blue. I don't think I would be that into it. Definitely not red or yellow because my hair's already pretty much fucking yellow anyway.
Yeah.
So really, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I remember one time I was like super close to dyeing my hair blonde to do like This was when I was like peak hair metal. When I was like 18, and I was like, do I go blonde and get a perm? And I came about this close, but I wussed out because my mum's a hairdresser, well, former hairdresser, but she still knows everything. So
sure, yeah.
She was like, dude, I wouldn't with your hair right now. Maybe down the line. But yeah.
Man, that would be. I think you just do the perm thing. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about coloring it. Just make it a big hair day.
I'm definitely thinking like if I'm gonna go any like permed hairdo. Mm-hmm. I'm going Rambo 3. That's what I'm going for.
Oh shit.
That would be the hair. There's like one specific image I have in my head of, can I screen share on this? Hang on. Rambo 3.
Might be able to. No, I don't think you will.
Okay. Well, there's one specific shot. If you type in Rambo 3, I mean, you'll know what I'm talking about, but it's the one where it's not the one where he's with Troutman. It's another one where he's just, which one is it? And he just looks fucking awesome. I mean, he looks awesome the whole movie, but there's like one part in particular that the mane is just nuts.
I mean, to be fair, this one, hold on.
Rambo 3 hair, if I just type in Rambo 3 hair.
Hold on, where's that? Look at it. Look at this in this picture right here. Look at it right there.
Oh, wait, hang on. Yeah. It's fucking awesome.
He looks like it's you might as well just be Kane Roberts at that point.
Dude, seriously, I think it's fucking dumb that you got to shave your head for the military. Imagine Rambo coming at you. How fucking terrified would you be then? You know? I feel like if you had a bunch of mulleted guys, it'd be even scarier, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody would run the fuck home. Everybody's Rambo shit.
My thoughts on war on war aside, the number one thing that kept me from ever wanting to be in the military was the hair thing. I was just like, no, fuck no.
Bingo. I was an air cadet for 3 years, and I had a short back and sides.
No shit.
And I wasn't. I was there more because it was like highly encouraged by my family at the time, and I didn't want to disappoint the family. I come from a bit of a military background. I say removed by one generation. My mom and uncle weren't military, but my granddad was. But yeah, he talked my uncle, his son, out of joining the military. Just because it was like he'd been there. He knew what he came away from it with, and he kind of like talked him out of it. Not to slag off anyone in the military, but you know, any individual who, you know, chooses for whatever reason to join up. You know, I know some people have different opportunities to others, but
yeah,
it wasn't the life for me, you know. And I thought to myself, wow, if I don't fit in as a cadet, imagine me in the fucking army. You know, I'm not built to carry out in orders and fucking remember them. You know, I was just thinking to myself, you know, I don't think they'd let me on the front line with how fucking forgetful I am. I brought all the guns. Okay, cool. Where's the bullets?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Shit, dude. I'm sorry.
I think the problem with me would be I would ask too many questions because killing somebody or shooting at people is a big deal. And so I would be like, why am I doing this? Can you please give me all of the details on why we're doing this first before I go over and do it? Because I'm not blindly supporting whatever bullshit you're going to shove down my throat.
Yeah, it's different when you're fighting Nazis, but, you know, if you're fighting over fucking black shit that comes out of the ground, I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I'm about to send you a photo of Stallone, who is clearly on the set of Rambo, but is not in character. But this is one of the most badass shots of anyone I think I've ever seen. Holy fuck!
Okay. Oh my god! Putting it here you go, everybody. Can everybody see that? Look.
I want to see. I want to see whatever movie that guy's in. You know?
Wow.
I want there to be a series where Rambo has a twin brother who was in like fucking 80s hairband. Because even down to those sunglasses, man, that is crazy cool.
Yeah.
Pics that go hard.
Man, that is peak Stallone right there.
Yeah.
And then he would soon after that he would cut all of his hair off because he would be in Tango and Cash. Yeah. And he was very straight-laced looking guy in Tango and Cash, which is one of my favorite Stallone movies.
Have you ever seen that fucking photo of Stallone in that Hawaiian shirt with the Rambo hair?
No.
Oh my god, dude. Okay,
eventually this episode's going to start, everyone.
Okay, hang on. Rambo shirt.
We got to get the important stuff out of the way before we get to the meat of the show here.
Someone once found this photo and sent it to me and said, "This has you energy." And I thought, oh god. They said, "Yeah, it looks like a dinner lady from the 80s." And I was like, oh shit, here we go.
Is that real? All right, everybody. I'm sorry to the podcast listeners because this will be in the podcast, but it's Stallone's hair looking the most permiest I think I've ever seen it. He's in a pink Hawaiian shirt and got a gold chain and then some tight jeans.
Hell yeah.
I've never quite understood the fashion trend of tucking in shirts to jeans. Like, that is very weird to me.
It's one of those things where I've seen it look awesome and I've seen it look terrible. This is in the awesome category.
I mean, to be fair, if you can pull that look off, and honestly, like, I wouldn't fuck with Stallone. If I time traveled and I got to meet, circa 88, 89 era Stallone, and that's what he looked like, I'd be like, what? Okay. This is what Stallone looks like here.
Oh, yeah, that confirms that it's real. There is a completely different other shot of him in the same outfit. And he looks like he's about to deliver some sort of insurance to older people. Hang on, where is it?
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Were you involved in an accident that wasn't your fault?
Oh my God. It's the at leisure photo from the same photo shoot. And he's got the sleeves rolled up too for added effect. Man, I love I think we talked about this before about how I'm upset that the idea of a ugly motherfucker becoming a famous action hero doesn't happen anymore. Because every action star that I can think of, they're at least moderately good looking, if not really good looking. But Stallone and Schwarzenegger, both, to me, I'm like, these are ugly fucking dudes.
Well, here's the thing.
In a cool way, though.
I think it's an angle thing. Like, there are some shots of Rambo where I'm like, damn, dude. And then there's some shots of him where I'm like, holy fuck. It's a good thing you're ripped. But yeah.
Just put this freeze frame on the arm wrestling scenes and over the top.
he's just doing Lars Ulrich faces. Like, yeah.
I love that movie too. Over the Top. That says
hell of a soundtrack on that
fucking classic movie.
Yeah.
This is for the person that liked when we did movie episodes. I think this is pretty much made the decision that eventually we should just do an all Stallone episode where we just talk about our favorite Stallone movies and just look at all sorts of pictures of Stallone in different shirts. But that's not why we're here today on Cranked and Ranked. Boom, boom. That was
dun, 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 dun. That was a little Rocky IV.
This is Cranked and Ranked. We're back with Aerosmith Part 2, the conclusion of Aerosmith, the top 8 Aerosmith albums. And I don't even know what to do from here. I felt so confident in our conversation until I moved over to the albums, and now I'm like, what do we do now?
Yeah. It's like I say, this, much like the Kiss saga we did back in the day, that it's basically become me ranking two distinctly different eras of the band simultaneously. So with a couple notable exceptions, it's pretty much going to be an alternating thing. But
for me, this was pretty tough actually, because albums would just swap around while I was listening to them. And I actually had to go back and listen to the songs that I think are the weaker tracks on each album to then try to be like, okay, out of the weaker ones, these are the stronger of the weaker ones. And then one particular album to me has absolutely no weak songs. So that, we'll get to that one. That'll be my number one. But I think I'm happy with it. I think I stressed myself out in ways that are not necessary, because this is fun, supposed to be fun, and it's not going to be getting a grade for this. But I still try to be, I still try to look at things in a bigger scope than just like what I like. Yeah, sometimes it's hard. Anyway, so we've got our top 8 Aerosmith albums, and the last episode, if you didn't watch it, we got rid of all of the post 90s Aerosmith. Those were all left behind in the bottom. Although there is no Aerosmith album that I don't enjoy. And so, but just, when you're dealing with albums like the ones we're going to be talking about, it's a band kind of fucks themselves up when they do iconic albums, because then later on they're going to do albums, everyone's going to be like, you suck now. And I'm like, well, do they really? Or are they just battling with perfection?
Their own legacy. Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where they've been around so long now. It's simply so hard. I mean, was it Kiss openly admitted after they did Monster, at least Paul Stanley said, we don't have any plans to do any more music because we've done it. We've got so much out there. Yeah. And would I like to hear more Kiss? Yeah. Am I going to get it? No. But that's their prerogative anyway. And they've done more than prove themselves time and time again. Same for Aerosmith.
And honestly, in the respect of Kiss, them not putting anything else out has actually helped those last two albums that I didn't really think were that great, because with time I've actually grown to really like both of those albums. So it's like, well, good on you. It's, I guess, don't fuck it up now, because those now have gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I can safely say I like every Kiss album, but they might, old 60-year-old or 70, fucking old. They're old. They're up there. That age of dudes doing a Kiss album may not work. I'm sure it would be fine in some respect, but we're talking about Aerosmith, which is the same thing for Aerosmith. I don't think Aerosmith could put out a great album ever again, and that's fine because they already fucking did it. Like, I don't shit on bands and band members that have gotten older and can't do what they did before, because that's true for every fucking human being. Aside from, there's a handful of people that like age and maybe they can sing, they sound better as a singer as they get older. But I guarantee you, when they become 70, they probably sounded better at some other point in their life, which is why I get so annoyed and at everyone like jumping on like rock singers that are still doing it but don't sound great. And I'm just like, what are you gaining from saying, hey, here's a clip of Axl Rose, he doesn't sound good in this clip? I'm like, okay. Don't go see Guns N' Roses then. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, he's like, if he was really that bad, because I've heard him sound fucking amazing within the past few years, and shows where he was either sick or something else was going on and he sounded a little iffy. But it's just like, if he sucks that bad, then people aren't going to go see him, and then they just won't do shows anymore.
Yeah.
So anyway,
end of the day, I mean, if people want to go see him, let them.
Yeah.
And if you don't,
then yeah. I don't. People have such boring lives that they feel like they need to, like, I don't know what they feel like they need to do. It's just fucking annoying. And I've started blocking all kinds of people. My favorite thing to do now is on TikTok is block people, because I figured out, so if I block this person, their stuff will never come up in my feed again. And so they will never earn any revenue from me. Even if it's just a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a cent, they're not going to get that from me. So the minute a fucking Kirk is gay comes up on my fucking thing, blocked. Because I'm just because like that fucking trend was one that was stupidly funny one time.
Yeah.
And then
I did like the Fortnite one. I thought the Fortnite one was funny. Where they've got
they're all getting
Fortnite
blocked.
emotes.
They're all blocked. Any person that comes up like, this is the worst album of all time, blocked. Like, you're not coming up in my fucking feed anymore. Like, I just, and literally every kind of shitbag person is not going to get any money from me. So that's what I do. I love it. It feels so good too, to go block people that don't even fucking know who you are. And I'm just like, you don't even know me. And I've literally taken money away from you, you motherfucker.
Do you do a little Dave Mustaine sneer when you do it? Like,
no, I do that.
You're not getting any revenue from me. I
do that thing. My favorite version of it is it's somewhere in year and a half of life of Metallica. Lars is all like,
yeah,
like the what do you call that? It's not a fist. It's like a fist pump, but it's I don't know. I just do that.
It's the invisible fisty.
But yeah. So speaking of old fuckers, Aerosmith, and we're going to be talking about albums where they were younger because we got rid of all the other ones. But let's get to it, because it's I'm sure we'll have other tangents here for the people that are into that kind of shit. So as usual, I'm going to throw it over to Eddie Sparxx to get us started with his number 8 Aerosmith album.
Okay, so this, like I say, we entered the love zone really last time with, probably number 10. I mean, the top 10 Aerosmith albums are top 10 Aerosmith albums.
Yeah.
So, number 8, my number 8 clocked in. It was a difficult decision. Mine ended up being Draw the Line. So Draw the Line is my number 8. And the thing I love about Draw the Line is, like many 70s rock albums, it clocks in at a crisp 35 minutes and 14 seconds. Mm-hmm. Always love that. You know, that the beautiful thing about this is that if you want to listen to the album again, you have that choice. Yeah. It's not too much of a commitment, and it rocks pretty much all the way through. Draw the Line, Kings and Queens, Get It Out. I mean, they're the singles. Great songs. Mm-hmm. Excuse me.
Kings and Queens is up there, maybe my top 5 Aerosmith songs. It's fucking great. So same thing with Draw the Line. I love this album, so it's not this low for me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great album, but I'm juggling my my 70s and 80s biases, and they are fighting it out hard. Like for me personally, like, I love the 80s. I recognize the cheese and the flaws of the 80s. Mm-hmm. That doesn't stop me loving the era. So like when someone turns around to me, it's like, oh, 80s production has a tendency to sound thin. But it's like, okay, but which albums are you actually talking about? That's not a blanket statement. Some 80s albums sound really good. They have a tendency to be brighter because of all the cocaine the producers were on. But you know, for the most part, whenever the 70s comes up in question, whenever somebody says, hey, 70s production is more is truer to the studio, cool. I just like big stadium sound. So but either way, I've defended my position enough.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're far enough removed now that those arguments are so fucking tired to me, because I'm all like, we're literally talking about 40-year-old albums from the 80s that now sound very unique and cool, because no albums sound like that anymore. And now you have a whole shitload of albums that, you know, I've gone off on it plenty of times that that's all fucking cookie cutter production where everything just sounds sonically the same as 1,000 other albums, and some of it's absolutely unlistenable. Like, Thin, fine. I'll take Thin over brick walled all the shit, and it hurts your ears to fucking turn it up at all. Yeah. So yeah, that shit is dumb, and usually it's older people that still think that, like, if you say stuff like that, it sounds like you know what you're talking about musically. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, do you just hurry up and die so we can move on? We can move on with our lives and start enjoying shit.
Stop talking a bunch of shit. I've started doing that around the house. I've started going on little Mustaine rants, and it makes my partner laugh a lot. So if ever I'm like miffed about something, I'll be like, I opened up the fridge. The milk had expired. It's like stupid shit like that, but you know, it's a good time. But I mean, I really like Draw the Line. It's a good fun, crisp 35 minutes. 9 songs, and you know, brevity. There's something to be said for brevity in a rock album. You know, if you get in and get out, and all of it was killer, bingo. So with that, you know, that is my number 8. Draw the Line.
Okay, cool. Yeah. My number 8. So this, even like right now, just about to say this, I go, wow, why did I put this at 8? But I'm not going to fuck with it right now. My number 8 is Get Your Wings from 1974, the second Aerosmith album. And I think my problem with this album is listening to them in order as I do. There's a lack of energy and attitude in this album that exists in the first album and in Toys in the Attic. So in the middle, you have this, what almost feels like a bit of a transitional album where they've kind of figured out what the Aerosmith thing is, and Steven Tyler is singing with his natural voice. But even like the kicker, I think Same Old Song and Dance is, when it comes to Aerosmith album openers, one of the weakest, because it's not a bad song, but that's like a track 4 or 5 song. That is not an album opener, and I've always thought it was very weird. But another one of my favorite Aerosmith songs, "Lord of the Thighs," is on this album, and I really like that one. It's a classic album. Seasons of Wither is also a fucking amazing song. Seasons of Wither always, for some reason, gives me the vibes of something that would have been on the Temple of the Dog album or something, you know? It really does kind of give me that vibe, and I've always really liked that. But yeah, I think when it comes down to it, I was just basically weighing the classic songs, the singles, like how fucking strong are they? How much impact do they still have on me when I listen to them now? And then the non-single tracks or the weaker ones, how many of them are there? Are they really that bad or compared to other ones? And I think with Get Your Wings, it just ended up being that a big chunk of the album is good, but compared to like everything else, I just went, I feel like they totally like outdid themselves with Toys in the Attic. And so Get Your Wings is just kind of a cool album. It's a cool, fun listen, but I feel like they did a lot better. So Get Your Wings goes at number 8.
Well, the cool thing about that is I can jump straight off of that because Get Your Wings is my number 7.
Nice.
And this is the album where we get the Steven Tyler that we're more familiar with.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, it does sound a bit more Aerosmith than the previous album.
Yeah.
It's got, I know it's a cover, but Train Kept a Rollin'. I love Train Kept a Rollin'.
Yeah. Yeah. I really do like the way that Aerosmith, and when I say Aerosmith, I'm pretty much probably referring to Joe Perry and I mean maybe the rhythm section as well. But like they sometimes would have these cool riffs, and the drum beat would be kind of different than what you would expect, especially in the 70s. So a good portion of Train Kept a Rollin', I love the way that they do it, because I'm just like, it has a really cool groove to it. Whereas if they had just changed up the drum beat, it could have been a little more bland of a cover. But I like it. I dig it.
Absolutely. What else was there? There's obviously Same Old Song and Dance. Yeah, it's one of the less spectacular openers. I still like it.
Yeah.
SOS, too bad, is on here. Great, great stuff. And it's just, you can still tell that they're finding their feet. But
yeah.
To me, they've got a bit more of their identity going on now than on the debut. In large part to Steven Tyler's delivery, but also just general vibe. That being said, though, just because it's at 7, don't make it any less good for me. Like I said, I mean, if we were just doing 70s Aerosmith, this would, well, there's only 6 albums, right? So it would be out of 6, but still, that's one hell of a legacy just on its own, let alone their 80s stuff.
Yeah,
and into the 90s. But I mean, Get Your Wings. It's a solid follow-up. I think it's very good.
Yeah,
cool.
It is very good. All right. Well, for my number 7, we're moving into the 90s. My number 7 is Get a Grip from 1993. This one, their 11th album. This one is an interesting album to me because this is probably for any Aerosmith album, this one has the most nostalgia attached to it for me, because I was a teenager and it was all over MTV.
Yeah. Huge.
Like, not just like it infiltrated like every aspect of MTV where they were playing their videos, you know, on Headbangers Ball, but then all during the day. And you had, what were all the singles? Living on the Edge, Crying, Crazy, Eat the Rich, Amazing. So, and they were all like really successful songs and honestly, all really good songs. You know, I know like a lot of people try like to point at these songs, especially like Crying and Crazy and songs like that and be like, well, this is just kind of bland Aerosmith. I'm like, it's for what they're going for. Like, it's really good. They're really memorable, enjoyable, catchy songs. And I love Living on the Edge. That's just a fucking great song. And, but the thing that like really sort of like hit me that I hadn't really thought about that much. I think maybe we've discussed it a couple times, but I always kind of forget that in 1993, so this is 1993, so this is post Nirvana. This is grunge is,
deep into it.
Deep into it. Yeah. But even in 1993, the popular masses of music consumption still celebrated the old dudes. And old dudes could still put out relevant hit albums in 1993. Because now a band of dudes that are all in their 40s put out an album now, it is not going to top the charts. It may be successful for what it is, but there's not this openness to embrace the past the way that there used to be. And maybe that was record labels pushing the marketing and saying, you know, we have these legacy acts or whatever. We want to get their new stuff out there. But I really do think that at the end of the day, no matter how much you want to point your finger at MTV, if the songs weren't good, then people wouldn't go and buy the records. Just hearing a song over and over again, despite what some people think, just hearing a song over and over again does not make you go buy an album. So there has to be a quality to the music. So the fact that they put out an album like Get a Grip and it got what I think is what it deserved, which is a whole lot of spotlight on it. Like, say, these dudes are fucking, according to a lot of people, way past their prime, still putting out really great shit. And so I think it's cool. I think that alone makes Get a Grip a really important Aerosmith album, but just an important rock album too for the 90s. And my only problem, the reason it stays at 7, although I do like a lot of the tracks on it, there are tracks that are just kind of like, these songs are okay. And sometimes when I listen to Get a Grip, I really feel the push and pull of really strong tracks and kind of okay tracks. And so, I had to put it here because I think as a complete album, it's good, but I think it feels uneven to me sometimes. But I do enjoy it a lot. But honestly, it's one of those weird albums where my favorite songs are the singles. And you can't say that for a whole lot of other albums. There's a whole lot of albums I love. And as soon as somebody comes to me and says, oh, yeah, what about Enter Sandman? And I'll be like, yeah, Enter Sandman's fine. But like, how could that be your favorite song on the album? Yeah. Because there's like so much better than that. But I think with Get a Grip, the strongest songs were released as singles. And so I don't know. Get a Grip is great, but it really is a huge nostalgia trip. Whenever I see music videos from it, or wherever we hear songs from it, it really is like I'm a teenage kid again, just sitting in my living room, just watching MTV. And then, oh, look, the Crying video is on again because everybody loves Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah. Imagine as well, like post grunge, having the balls to release not one, not two, but 3 power ballads in a similar kind of vibe.
Yes.
and they have obviously it's a trilogy, especially in a sense that the videos depict a bit of a trilogy, don't they? They all
do they?
I believe they do. Is
Alicia Silverstone in all three, Crying, Crazy, and Amazing? Is she in Amazing as well?
I think so. I think she's in all of them. I'm not 100% sure, but if memory serves me right. But that being said, did you know that this album yielded the first ever digital download?
I did not.
So I have a little information.
In 93, who the fuck was downloading shit in 93? Rich people.
In 94, so I've got it up here. I just happened to open up the wiki page, and this is something I didn't know. On June 27th, 1994, this will be 30 years ago in 4 days.
So basically, right after this episode comes out, it'll be 40 years or 30 years.
Wow. So Aerosmith became the first major artist to release a song as an exclusive digital download, making Head First available as a 4 megabyte WAV file to CompuServe subscribers. Around 10,000 users downloaded the song in the first few days, even though at the time most users accessed the service with a modem, meaning the download would have taken the better part of an hour. Head First was earlier used as the B-side for Eat the Rich. So there we have it.
I have the Eat the Rich. It's actually a 10-inch single that I have.
Cool.
With that on it.
I was going to say as well, this album to me, I always kind of to and fro between what was the last big smash of the hair metal or hair metal adjacent era. And I genuinely think it's either this or Adrenalize by Death Record.
Adrenalize was 92.
Yeah.
So it would have been this one.
Yeah. If we're broadening the glam metal scope, because Aerosmith, I'd never say they were really hair metal. They had tendencies on Permanent Vacation.
I would never put Def Leppard in that category either. But you're right. Yeah. They're both adjacent. I would say for sure. They both reaped the benefits of it. So, yeah.
They definitely went the route of image and production, if not songwriting, of the glam metal thing. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it might be this. I think this may be the last hair metal, quote unquote, hair metal hit on a mass scale. So
yeah, I think you're right. Speaking of that, last night I just got Native Tongue by Poison on vinyl.
Oh, nice.
They just re-released it's actually a really good quality repressing of it. But
the one with Richie Kotzen on it.
Yeah. But also listening to it last night was the first time since we did our ranking that I listened to that album in full. And I was having a good time. I was having a little cocktail and just listening to it. And halfway through the album, I was thinking to myself, I get why this didn't really do that well. Because it's a really dull album. And it's it's a weird juxtaposition because you have this fantastic guitar player who's all woo and doing all this cool shit, but then the songs are very just they
don't lean that way. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I love 90s albums by 80s bands so much, even the ones that I don't like as much, that I have to have all of them on vinyl. I love that era. I love just hearing the struggle. But somebody who wasn't struggling was Aerosmith with Get a Grip. So I mean, if we can move on from Get a Grip, but you know what? I had to bring this up because it's one of my favorite moments from they did a Clerks cartoon in the late 90s. It lasted on the air for I think 2 episodes and then they pulled it. So they only made 6 of them, but it's really funny and kind of stupid. But there's a portion that when Dante and Randall are in the quick stop, and Randall's all if you were Steven Tyler and you could bang any chick in the world, who would it be? And Dante's all like, I don't have time for this. And then Randall goes, see, if it were me, I'd pick Liv Tyler.
Oh man, I had no idea that they did that. You know what? The 90s.
You will love it. Check it out. It's fucking wacky. They just took the idea of Clerks and just went as wacky as they possibly could for 6 episodes. There's one episode where literally it's a mashup of the Bad News Bears and Temple of Doom in one episode. So, but yeah, it's so great. But I understand why it didn't make it on TV, because it's broad humor and very like irreverent. It's just, it would do better today, like on Adult Swim or something. But it's unfortunately it was put out on a major network in the late 90s and didn't last. But anyway, I just always thought that was a funny joke, because it's like that was around the time that Liv Tyler, everybody was getting into Liv Tyler, which I never jumped onto that bandwagon. She never did anything for me. Yeah, Steven Tyler's daughter.
Oh. Well, an animated series that I've always wanted to watch, but I've just never gotten around to. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. That, like, I can't believe I haven't gotten around to that yet. So
here's the thing. The first season's cool because it's really the real actors' voices. It's the three. It's George Carlin, Alex Winter, and Keanu Reeves. I couldn't remember Keanu Reeves' name. But it's a fun show. It's just a goofy Saturday morning cartoon. But if you start watching that show, you will go around your house singing the fucking theme song, and it's fucking cheeseball. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It's a party, that's for sure. It's gonna be in your head. But yeah,
wasn't there like a live action one that was like denounced by the original cast as well or something? There's a live action one that came out in like 92. Yeah. Okay, so there's 7 episodes and 1 unaired pilot.
Did it actually make it on TV? Because I don't remember seeing it.
It aired. Original air date. What was it aired on? Production companies, Innuendo Productions. Original release, Fox. Why don't
I remember that?
Wow, I just.
That idea of turning hit movies into TV shows back then was fucking stupid. I remember watching the Ferris Bueller TV show, and it was fucking awful.
Dude, and I kind of love that though. I love the fact that there's a Rambo cartoon.
That's fucking cool though. I loved that when I was a kid. Like people go back and like try to talk about like kid stuff that they're into, and it's always like the biggies, like He-Man, Transformers, and I'm always like, no, fucking the Rambo cartoon was fucking great.
Did you ever see that? I always send that GIF of him fucking riding on a missile to people.
You have to understand, like not only that, like there was a fucking New Kids on the Block cartoon. There was a
no way.
Was it Criss Cross? Did Criss Cross have one too?
Oh shit, dude! Oh, okay, I gotta watch this. This is insane.
No, it wasn't Criss Cross. I think it was Kid and Play. Kid and Play had a cartoon also.
Dude, I want my own animated series.
MC Hammer had a cartoon.
MC Hammer cartoon. No way.
Yep. I mean, but the thing is, this was prime for me because I was like in the later childhood years when these things were happening.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing all of these things, including the Bill and Ted cartoon. Another one I really loved back in the day was the Real Ghostbusters. That cartoon, that one was cool.
Dude, tell you what I used to watch the shit out of when I was a kid was Count Duckula. You ever see that?
I did, but I didn't really get into that one. Oddly enough, the Disney cartoon that I found myself enjoying was Gummy Bears. Like,
really?
I don't know how, because it's not, you just hear the word gummy bears and you're just like, what the fuck is this show? But it was like a medieval show, and the gummy bears were just regular bears that happened to be able to bounce on their butts everywhere or some shit. I just remember when I was a kid finding it oddly enjoyable. And and DuckTales, of course. Everybody fucking loves DuckTales.
Dude, oh man, I used to love Count Duckula when I was a kid, and I didn't even realize until like I was an adult that it's voiced. Count Duckula is voiced by David Jason, who is Del Boy in Only Fools and Horses.
You just said all sorts of things that I don't know what they are.
Dude, you've never seen Only Fools and Horses?
No.
Dude, like that is the British. Okay, hang on, wait.
Is it a sitcom?
Yeah, and it's like you like British comedies, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, right.
We're
gonna go ahead and find a way to watch Only Fools and Horses. I will find the episode to sell you on, but it's basically just two brothers and their uncle who are just.
Is there anybody noteworthy in this?
David Jason. David Jason, the main guy, Del Boy. He's in fuckloads of stuff over here.
Okay.
But that it's one of those things where generally I'm much more American in my taste for things, but
yeah.
When it comes to British stuff, man, it doesn't get much better than this.
Damn, that show was on for 10 years,
dude. And yeah. Oh wow, you've never seen this?
No,
dude.
Which is weird, but I know why. Because I grew up on the British comedies that were shown on PBS over here,
right?
And so I saw all kinds of them, but I don't remember this one being included in that group of shows that were shown over here. So I got to see. I even brought up this show the other day to my wife because we were talking about living off the grid. But I think it's called over there. It's called The Good Life, but it was called Good Neighbors over here.
Yeah.
And that was the one where the wealthy people decide to start living off the grid and doing their own electricity and food, and they live right next to these super posh, rich British people.
Yeah.
One that I loved that I'm sure hasn't aged well is called Mind Your Language, which was a British guy teaching English as a foreign language, and literally his classroom is every stereotype of any minority ever. And it's the whole show is literally stereotype jokes from beginning to end.
There's a really there's an iconic clip from this show called it's referred to as the Trigger's broom moment, where there's this character in the show called Trigger, and he is so deadpan and dumb that it is side splitting. But there's one episode where he's in a pub and he's talking about this broom he's got, and he's like, yep, I've had this broom since I was a young boy. I've only replaced the handle 7 times and the brush 8. And it's it's not the same broom then, Trigger. It's yeah, it is. It's fucking brilliant.
I'll have to. That might be something I'll have to watch on my own, because I've noticed that a lot of the older British humor doesn't really connect with my wife very, very well. The only disappointing moment I've ever had in my entire marriage was showing my wife The Young Ones and her not really being into it, and I just went, "Oh my god, is this relationship going to work?" But that was literally it. That was it. It was the only time.
Yeah. Just to conclude, if ever I'm if ever I'm around my family's house and they've got the TV on and we're looking for something to watch, it usually ends up either being if it's on Only Fools and Horses or Dad's Army, because it's just completely delivers on laughs every time. But
okay.
Right on. Well, you've got some catching up to do, my friend. But anyway, let's get back to it.
I also haven't watched one episode of EastEnders, so where the fuck am I?
Well, that's a different ball game. You don't need to do EastEnders. Not even British people want to do EastEnders. It's just a thing. It's like a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, who's dead this week? Whose pub's burning down this month? Fucking hell. Holy shit. I just thought someone's car blew up. Turns out it was just someone ripping the fattest vape cloud I have ever seen from a van. Holy shit. I thought someone's van was going up in smoke. Holy shit. Okay, right.
I think we're on to your number 6, right? Because I did Get a Grip was my number 7.
Did I mention that my number 6 was Get a Grip?
Oh no. Yeah. Hey, well, here we are. We went all that way, and here we are back on Get a Grip.
I mean, to be honest, actually, upon reading through my notes, I pretty much said everything I had to say about Get a Grip. I really like Get a Grip. It's a bit bloated, but aside from that, I mean, that's my main critique of this album. Is that CDs are creeping in popularity. They're maxing out the runtimes a little more. Yeah. They didn't necessarily need to. Like, there's intro tracks and bonus stuff that doesn't add an awful lot, but the bangers on this album bang, and I love it. It's great. Yeah. Simply put, it just barely didn't make my top 5 because of a very split second holy shit, where has this one been all my life moment.
Okay. So, okay.
Back to you.
Okay. Well, let's travel back where we were in 1993. Let's travel back 20 years for my number 6, the debut album from Aerosmith from 1973.
Nice.
I really, really enjoy this album. Like, it is one of those albums that, especially on, like, I haven't, we talked about it last time, my vinyl copy from, I don't know, it's like 74 or whatever that copy was from, 75. But, the sound of it is so good. It's just, there's something about it that as soon as it starts, I'm just like, oh, fuck, this sounds so good. And the band are so tight, and it's just such an energetic, cool album. And it's unique, too, because it's the only one that Steven Tyler sings like that on. And once you get used to it, it doesn't sound weird at all anymore.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's got Dream On it, which is, you know, some people could say that's a very overplayed song, and I wouldn't disagree, but it's also still really fucking good. Interesting thing about this album that I didn't really know until recently was that the bulk of it was written just by Steven Tyler, and that's the thing that I think. Sometimes I don't think people give Steven Tyler enough credit for his songwriting, because he is, sure, an amazing singer, but there are like absolute classic Aerosmith songs that are mostly written by Steven Tyler, including hits from later on in their career. Fucking Janie's Got a Gun is Steven Tyler wrote that, and
awesome song. Jesus
Christ, you know, we could all hope to write something half as good as that song, But yeah, so it's like, you know, that's probably why the next album feels a little more like an Aerosmith album, just because I think they got a little more collaborative with the songwriting, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, for a debut album, like, I really love the whole vibe of this first Aerosmith album. And so it's, you know, it may not have, you know, a whole bunch of hits on it, or what are considered like really cool Aerosmith songs, I guess. But it really like has aged well for me. It just sounds fucking great. So it ends up going at number 6 for me.
Very nice. Very nice. Again, like I say, that one just barely got edged out of this episode. Mm-hmm. But, you know, again, like I say, this top 10, so damn strong top 10. Yeah. So my number 5 was a very pleasant surprise for me.
Interesting. Okay.
I had never heard this album, and I had assumed that the 80s Aerosmith began with Permanent Vacation.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
When in actual fact, Done with Mirrors ends up being my number 5, because I had never heard a single song from this album.
Yeah.
Until we did this. And my God, I was really pleasantly surprised. What is it? Done with Mirrors. And this fucking album, dude, like, they even name drop Miami Vice on this album, dude. And you know how much I love that fucking show.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, there were a couple singles, Let the Music Do the Talking and Sheila, but I mean, the Joe Perry project cover kicks things off. I mean, that is kind of emblematic of where Aerosmith were at the time. It was like, oh, fuck, well, you had a really strong song. We put it on this one, too.
Yeah, your album fucking flopped. Why don't we put it on here instead?
Yeah. And I love the whole vibe of this album, because it's got the 80s feel, but it's still a little bit, it's not the big 80s production, it's a bit more understated and vibey.
Yeah.
But like, I love the atmosphere of it, and I love the all of the tracks on it. They were like, I'm surprised that this album didn't do a bit better than it did. I mean, again, it clocks in at just under 36 minutes long. I mean, it's not a massive commitment to listen to. Honestly, I really enjoy it. And having not heard it before, I think lends it an extra charm, because I'm like, oh my God, none of this suffers from some of the overplay that I have with other Aerosmith hits.
Yeah.
Because come to think of it, I don't think I've heard an Aerosmith greatest hits that has a song from this on it. But in a way, that kind of adds this like mystical charm to it, where I'm like, oh my God, is this my own personal little pocket of Aerosmith enjoyment that I'm just like, keep your greatest hits. I've got this little hidden gem over here.
Well, I think it's because there was actually no hit on this album. Like, that's why. Because they had singles, but I think I said it because I talked about this album on the last episode. I think it's because it just sounds like another Aerosmith album done with a little bit more 80s production. It's not anything new. You're not getting anything new. They're not really pushing things forward in any kind of way. And then Permanent Vacation, they fully, embrace the 80s hard rock sound. And so I think that's why it caught on, I guess, maybe a little more. Yeah. But I don't know.
Either way, I just had this like special little moment with this album while I was cleaning the house, and I had my, had my headphones in, and I was just going along thinking, I've been sleeping on this. This appeals to me in a way many Aerosmith albums are unable to, because I'm like, okay, here's the song from this album. Whereas like with this one, I was like, I've never heard a note of this, and I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome.
So it's one of those unique little moments with a band where I'm like, oh my God, these guys are huge, and this album doesn't get talked about a lot. But nope. I mean, it's one of those like middle era ones, but if we're talking like middle era, this is definitely the stronger of the two. I mean, Rock in a Hard Place was a bit of a jumble, whereas this one feels more focused, but it doesn't suffer from the overplay. So with that, and when I listened to Permanent Vacation and Pump and Get a Grip, I found myself almost enjoying some of the deeper cuts more than some of the hits. I mean, I definitely did some more than others. Like, the more obnoxiously overplayed songs are just knocked a little bit for me, because I'm like, do you ever get that with a song where you're like, I didn't ask for it to be playing?
Yes.
And now I've heard it so many times, not against my will, but not when I'd asked for it. I'm just kind of over it.
Yeah. So that's a weird thing these days, because I guess maybe it's just me because I don't watch a lot of television. And so it's like, so when people say like, oh, this song is so overplayed, I'm all like, where are you that you can't turn it off?
Yeah.
What are you doing where you can't turn it off? Because it's like, because back when I was younger, shit would get overplayed because you had MTV and the radio. And if you weren't listening to CDs or albums or whatever, there were things that were getting overplayed because that was just what was on wherever you were. But yeah, I definitely get that thing where like some songs I really would like to give them a rest, because I know like, you know, this will benefit this song greatly if I don't hear it for maybe like a year.
Yeah.
Then I'll come back to it.
That's like me with "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey, where I was like, you know, I'm an AOR aficionado. I love Chef's Kiss. Love that whole, you know, power rock, you know, lots of synths, borderline hair metal guitars, you know, blended with an incredible singer. Nothing I'm going to say here is going to take away from the fact that "Don't Stop Believing" is an expertly crafted radio hit. On the flip side, when you hear it on the way to school, on the bus, every morning for 3 years, it tends to lose a little bit of its charm.
Yeah.
Thank God for headphones.
Yes.
Do not do your homework without wearing headphones.
Yeah.
I repeat, do not. Anomalous comes through my wall. Right. Back to the task at hand. Done with Mirrors.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I found myself in, like you said before, this underappreciated album just charmed its way into my heart. And I really like it. Yeah.
Cool.
So with that, back to you.
Awesome. My number 5, when I started doing this ranking, I thought for sure this was going to be struggling with first or second place. It feels so weird to me to put this album at number 5, but here it is. My number 5 is Pump from 1989. And I absolutely adore this album. I love it. It is, I mean, it's in the top 5 Aerosmith albums for me. So there you go. But I just assumed that listening to them all together, this one would really rise up to the top, but it didn't quite get there. It got to number 5. And it's got a couple, 3 of my absolute all-time favorite Aerosmith songs, which you have a couple of like ones that are very well known. Janie's Got a Gun and What It Takes. But then there's a lesser known track that I love called FINE, that stands for Fucked Up, Insecure, Neurotic, and Emotional. And I fucking love that song. It's so good. Of course, you got like, you know, The Other Side and Love in an Elevator, which are very fun tracks. And I love the sound of this album. It sounds so good. It's 80s production, but I feel like it's got more depth to it than Permanent Vacation. This is way more of a meaty sounding album to me.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's like, it has so many absolutely unfuckwithable songs on it. But then I did that thing where I was going to listen to like, well, what do I think are the weaker tracks? And then I started to go, well, out of these top 5, these are the weaker of the weak songs out of the 5 albums that I'm still including. And so it ended up being at number 5. And I was like, that's so fucking crazy that Pump is at number 5. But it makes sense to me, just, you know, but it's an absolute classic album, and it's still one of those things we talked about last time about how, you know, the dudes were all in their 40s, and I'm in my 40s right now. I couldn't do an album this good. So And I think that this one, because I have my gripes about Permanent Vacation, where I feel like there was a little bit of growing pains with them working with outside songwriters, because I don't think that album is amazing. But Pump, it really feels like not only did the guys themselves bring some great shit to the table, but I feel like the collaborations ended up coming across more Aerosmith and not so much 80s hard rock with Aerosmith playing it. This feels to me more legit Aerosmith, who they were in 1989. And yeah, it's just a fantastic fucking record, but it ended up at number 5 because it's not perfect. It is not a perfect album. It's got at least a couple tracks that I kind of go, this one's fine. It's a fine song, I guess. But yeah. So yeah, that feels very weird. But yeah, Pump is at number 5 for me. Well,
that album is a little higher for me, as expected.
Okay.
So this is my top 4. So now, I wouldn't call it a hot take because it's near the top, but my number 4 ended up being Rocks.
Yeah, it's a pretty hot take.
And like the only way I suppose it could be a hot take is that, it's behind some later albums. 70s purists would have you believe that Aerosmith ends with the 80s, but it's
they're coming at it the wrong way. They ended in the 80s. Aerosmith did not.
So, yeah.
just because you become fucking dull as hell and your life's over doesn't mean Aerosmith's life is over.
Yeah. And I mean, holy shit, dude. Like this album not only is great, but massively influential. Like a lot of the 80s bands that I absolutely love cite this as, one of the ground zero albums for what they built off,
I remember reading Slash's autobiography, and he talks about hearing this album at somebody's house and it being like the beginning of him being like, I want to fucking do this kind of shit. Like it was this album for him.
Absolutely. I mean, Back in the Saddle, right out of the gate, kicks things off, man. Last Child, Rats in the Cellar, combination, dude. Like... even fucking Testament were doing Aerosmith covers. I mean, Nobody's Fault.
Yeah.
Nobody's Fault is heavy as shit. Like I didn't know for a long time that Testament song was an Aerosmith cover. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, no way, this is going to be as heavy as the Testament version. I'm like, it's still pretty chunky for a band like Aerosmith to be doing in 1976. Like, that is a riff I would expect from a groove metal band in the 90s, not a 70s.
That's the thing, though. The trilogy of albums, Rocks, Draw the Line, Night in the Ruts, there is some major fucking chunkage on those 3 albums.
Yeah.
That I still hear and go, those are just fucking badass riffs, dude.
Yeah.
This is not 70s rock riffing. This is... Joe Perry was just on another fucking planet already, so...
Well, even Wikipedia's got this listed as hard rock / heavy metal. Like, yeah. I've been doing the wiki pages since I found out about fun little facts that you might spot. So, yeah, And you're taught as a kid, Wikipedia can be edited and all this, that. They've got them pretty damn good at this point. I feel like we're at a point where Wikipedia has figured their shit out enough to where 9 times out of 10 it's going to be pretty on it. You get the odd like testimony from a rock star. This didn't happen. This did happen. But honestly, at this point, where the fuck else would you go for this kind of information? Exactly.
Because if you go to an article written about Aerosmith, it's always going to be filled with opinions and factual inaccuracies. And sure, there's some of those on Wikipedia as well. But I feel like the combination of like huge fans of whatever artist it is, things are going to get tweaked to where it's more of a reference than just some random fans, account of the band,
And also, just going off of this, I've spotted something that across the board highlights how great this album is. I'm about to drop some diversity on you. So,
okay.
Many musicians have cited Rocks as a favorite. Rocks was one of Kurt Cobain's favorite albums, as he listed in his journals.
Yep.
Motley Crue songwriter and bassist Nikki Sixx refers to Aerosmith frequently in his book, The Heroin Diaries. Metallica leader James Hetfield has identified Rocks as well as Aerosmith as important influences on his music, stating that the band was the reason why he wanted to learn guitar. And Slash, I mean, you've got grunge, glam, and thrash all influenced by a single rock album. Like, that is the mark of a stone cold classic right there.
Absolutely.
I mean, god damn. And it's only 34 minutes and 57 seconds long.
Yep.
And it had more impact than some of these bloated, borderline procedurally generated albums down the line,
Yeah, it's so funny how runtime has become a checkpoint for me now when I listen to new music. So, like, if I see, either on social media or just when I'm on Apple Music or whatever, and I see a new, like, metal or rock album and the album cover catches my eye, like it does sometimes, I'll always go and I always listen to song number 2. It's always like my go-to is song number 2. I'll click play on song number 2. And then while I'm listening to that, the next thing I do, I scroll down to the total runtime. And if it says like over an hour, I'm just like, nope, fuck this. But if the song starts to sound good and I scroll down and it says around 40 minutes, I go, oh, all right, I'm taking this a little more seriously now.
Yeah.
But it just become one of the checkpoints for me on music. Like, how long is this?
Yeah. It's one of those things as well where, back in the day, you could only fit so much on an album. So in a way, having that roadblock was a benefit,
Yeah.
where you couldn't really overdo your runtime. And I think what we have nowadays is a simultaneous dichotomy of people where they want as much possible from an artist, but on the same side of the coin, on the other side of the coin, people's attention spans now are fucked beyond any. We have shorter attention spans as a species than we have ever done in history.
Yeah. What are we talking about? No, you're right. Like, it's also I've seen something from people, and obviously this is from people who aren't like genuine music fans, but a lot of those people are out there, and there seems to be a thing where people complain about having to pay money for music, and that's bizarre to me. But I think a lot of times, especially with bigger artists, is they feel like they need to put out this bonus track version of an album so people will buy it, because otherwise you have these idiots that are like, there's only 10 songs on it, I'm not going to pay for that. It's like, I keep seeing this stupid, like it's not even the same people. I think it's just a hot take that people are recycling, but I'm seeing it on the internet where people will post, Apple Music should be free for all iPhone users. And I'm just like, think about what you're fucking saying there for a minute. Yeah. Like, the people, the musicians and songwriters and whatnot already don't get paid anything.
Yeah.
For streaming. And now you're saying that, like, oh, this huge ass fucking bulk of people will now be getting all of their shit for free. And I'm just like, Apple Music costs what, like $15? Like, I get it monthly and I don't even fucking know, because I'm just like, that is money that like I don't even sweat. I'm just like, oh, it's going. That's what they're charging for the music, and I'm using their service, and I'm giving money to the bands by buying vinyl if I really like it. But I'm just like, you're already literally getting the deal of a fucking lifetime by getting probably all of the music you want to listen to. If you're a regular ass person, all the music you want to listen to is already there.
It's like, motherfucker, do you realize how much a CD was back in the day?
Yeah,
that was a big deal. You know,
$12 when it was the high price of a CD for. But even at that point, I mean, like you were dealing with 80 minutes. I think was the cap on a CD, 75, 80 minutes or something like that.
And 74 minutes, I believe, is the.
There we go. Hold on.
Exact number.
70. It was 80 minutes because I have the load poster up here and it says 78:59. That was the runtime of load, which was literally right at the end. They couldn't make a CD longer than that.
Wow.
So I love my load poster.
Nice.
It's like it just got the album cover and it says 78:59 everywhere, 3/6/96, and I'm just like, yeah, yep. It's like one of my things that I see and I go, that's cool as fuck that I have that. And most people think it's not cool as fuck, which makes it cooler to me.
You know what? That's me. That's me. Every time you like move over a little bit, and I can see the double stacked Wayne's World and Ugly Kid Joe.
Oh yeah.
Posters. Like every time I see that like there is a part of my brain that is just specifically stored with those in tandem, and it's like that's aesthetically pleasing.
That's what I call the 13-year-old me corner.
Yeah, that's badass.
Because it was that those two go hand in hand for me, even though I guess they were a year apart from each other, but still. But that just, you know, that one area, that's why I put those together. Cause I was just like, I remember I got the Wayne's World poster and I was looking for other things like on eBay to get, cause I wanted to deck out my room with cool shit. And I saw this, you know, it's like what is it? 12 or 24 by 24, Ugly Kid Joe. And I went, oh my God, that would be so perfect right underneath the Wayne's World poster. And then there you go. There it goes.
Nice.
That's what I've gotten so much cool shit, but now I don't have any room for anything else. So
I will say, like, I've slowly watched that room get more and more full of stuff. Like, I remember when it was pretty much just you and that vinyl cabinet, and that was it. And now
I used to have a painting my brother made right here.
Yeah.
And I was going to leave it that way. Because I didn't want to deal with the hassle of putting shit up and then if we move, taking shit down. But it literally was this fudge tunnel poster that fucking started it. Yeah. I saw that on eBay and I went, oh, I gotta have that. And then when I put it up, I went, well, you can't just have one band poster on my wall. So I went crazy.
How have you got those hung up? I've never actually asked.
They're poster hangers that clamp to the top and bottom.
Cool.
Because right. I didn't want to fuck them up with thumbtacks.
Cool.
And then because I don't want, like, when I'm opening and closing the door, them to like flap around and get fucked up. So I took those. You know how they make those? It's like Velcro stickies. That you So literally I have I stuck one to the wall and the other to the frame, and it's velcroed to the wall. Nice. So it stays put. But like, and for the most part, like, you know, everything I've done, I've actually used those Velcro stickies because I'm like, well, when we move, I just unvelcro it and then I get the other half of the Velcro when I move somewhere else and I put everything back up, just like stick it right back up. No holes, no bullshit. So
beautiful. Before we get back on track with the Aerosmith, I thought I'd show you something I
oh shit! All right, guys.
Found recently that I can't believe I haven't brought up yet. With
All right.
Consult the archives.
Once again, for the podcast listeners, I apologize for all the visual nonsense, but you get the idea, right?
Okay, don't worry. We will tell you what I am showing you right this second.
Also, Eddie's wearing a fantastic Faith No More shirt that has the old school logo on it.
Thank you very much. It is a good shirt. It is a good shirt. I didn't wear it for a while when the Israel-Gaza thing was popping off because I thought that it looked like kind of inflammatory at the time, and I didn't know if someone who didn't know about Faith No More would like interpret it funny, because I know it's not a Star of David, but there are dumb people out there, and I was just like, I'm gonna wait for that to come out of the news cycle for a little bit before I dig this one back out.
That just makes you a good person, that you think about things like that. Like there's so many people don't give a shit about what other people think, but in certain aspects, it's good to think that way sometimes.
Dude, I learned the hard way when my mum packed my clothes when I went on a trip with the school, a school trip to Normandy. In France, to go see like the war cemeteries and the beaches and stuff like that. It was like a big history trip. And for some fucked up reason, the Master of Puppets t-shirt happened to be in the section of the bag that was intended for the day of going to the war cemetery. So it was the heat of summer, and I'm in a hoodie. Bearing in mind, thankfully, because my I say thankfully, my knee was completely fucked and still recovering from that injury I've brought up several times. So the school very kindly brought along a wheelchair, so I had my friends wheel me around all the time. It was great, and I almost I started taking the mick a little bit. I was like, guards, it is time for my royal bath. Wheel me to my quarters. They would just wheel me around. It was funny as shit. Anyway, I'll get there. I'll get to what I've described in a second, but it's just, sorry, I know this is an Aerosmith podcast, but this is Tangent City. This is what it's all about.
It's all right. I think I think half of our audience loves that. The other half can go to the bathroom.
So I was basically being wheeled around in this wheelchair around this fucking war cemetery, crosses and Stars of David for miles.
Yeah,
and I'm sat there, heat of summer in June, right, with a hoodie on, covering up my Master of Puppets shirt, thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, please don't make me take this off. Please don't make me take this off. Until in the end, I just sat with my arms crossed, with the hoodie bundled up in front of the artwork until we left, because I thought, I don't want to look like that guy. It wasn't a purposeful thing, but it just, the fate was sealed when I trusted my mum to pack my bag last minute while I was in the shower because I forgot to do it.
And she probably thought she was doing you a solid, like, oh, I'm going to pack his Master of Puppets shirt. He loves it.
Yeah. When in actual fact, it was like, I pulled it out at the hotel and I said, guys, I'm really sorry, but I forgot to pack a bag, so my mum did it last minute. Would this come off as insensitive? And all of my friends were like, yeah, maybe don't. Maybe really don't do that. But because I was so like, well, everything's in my bag. I've already pulled this out. Well, I actually no, I wasn't holding it up. My friend pointed it out to me on the way out of the door. So I was like, oh shit. Well, I can't change.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. It was one of those moments. But anyway, I have right here the result of a little trip to a combination of a market and a car boot sale.
Oh,
and I managed to get not one,
The Mask on VHS.
not just one.
Oh, Conan the Destroyer. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
How fucking cool is that artwork, dude?
Yeah.
And that's a band logo. That's a fucking band logo right there. And
the band Conan does not use that logo, but yeah.
Are we ready? The crown jewel.
Oh shit. Oh, Oh my fucking God.
Dude.
It's Commando. Oh, that's one of my favorites, man.
Look at the back.
Oh my God.
He's got that.
Oh.
Yeah. How badass is that? You should have seen my face. It lit.
That's fuck the other two. that's Commando is so, oh man.
Yeah. You should have seen my face when I saw Commando. I was like,
yeah.
Holy fucking shit, it's Commando on VHS.
Yeah. That is, I know that the funny thing is that if you had talked to me, I don't know, 20 years ago and had told me that I'd be excited if I ever found a VHS of certain movies, I would be like, that's ridiculous. Why would you want a VHS version where the quality's not as good and the picture is going to be cut off because it's not, a lot of those don't have, letterboxing or anything. And for a long time, I was like, I would refuse to watch a movie on TV if it wasn't letterboxed. I'm just like, I want to see the movie the way it was intended to be seen. Flash forward to me in my 40s, and I'm just like, certain movies benefit from the VHS format. I don't know why, but that's fucking sweet.
Especially retro horror movies. They always look sick on VHS.
Yeah.
The fuzzy grain adds a menace to it. But anyway, back around.
Oh yes. So we're
sorry guys, that was a big one. What were we doing?
You're still talking about rocks.
I think we're on something called a codcast. Okay, right. Back to it. So we were on rocks.
Mm-hmm.
It rocks. But it's awesome. Love it.
But no, it doesn't rock as much as 3 other albums for you.
Yes. For me personally. But if you're talking influence, I mean, I wouldn't question anyone that has this at their top pick.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, cool. Well, then my number 4. So my number 4 and number 3 probably are my 2 favorite Aerosmith albums, but I looking at things objectively, I realized that I have to I don't know, I had to order them differently. Number 4 for me is Night in the Ruts from 1979, which is their 6th album. So it's weird that especially Night in the Ruts, there's something about these albums from certain periods of time where shit was chaotic within a band. And people were unhappy, everyone was on drugs, or people were being difficult or not showing up or whatever the fuck it is. So I don't know how sometimes that energy for me just creates fantastic music and fantastic albums. So with Night in the Ruts, Joe Perry leaves the band halfway through the recording, and then they have other people come in and play guitars on some parts that he didn't play. But I think this is a very underrated album. I think because of all the band, I don't think look back on it fondly, and so I think a lot of people are just like, well, that means it's not good. I'm just like, I don't know, from the standpoint of a person that just enjoys really great shit, there's such a great energy to this album, and honestly, there is an interesting progression. And for Aerosmith, I'm using this word in Aerosmith terms, experimentation, especially with guitar riffs. Like I was telling you, Draw the Line, Night at the Ruts, rocks. There are some fucking riffs, really cool riffs that are beyond what other 70s bands like Aerosmith were doing. And there's a lot of that on Night at the Ruts. But I just feel like I really do feel like they, in their own way, in the chaos of it all, they were trying to push things forward and do something a little different when they were writing songs. And really the only thing that is a negative on this album for me is just that there's covers on it, but they're good covers. But aside from the covers, I think this is some of their best work, in my opinion. And I don't know if, like, you know, certain band members work well under pressure or within the chaos. But either way, this album, because of all of that, this album feels like a huge achievement to me, just because you take a step back. If you didn't know, if you never read anything about Aerosmith or knew anything about what was going on with the band during this album, it does not sound like a band in turmoil. It sounds like a band just making kick-ass shit and fucking being badass for an entire album. So, but I understand that, you know, there are qualities to other albums that are, if I look at it as a whole, I go, okay, I can see why this is better. But Night in the Ruts is my personal second favorite Aerosmith album, but it ended up being number 4 in my ranking overall. So there we go.
Okay, so this is where my my personal love for the 80s is on full display.
Okay.
My number 3 is Permanent Vacation.
All right.
And I will say, when you were talking last time about how the hits from it are kind of obnoxious for Aerosmith songs,
Yeah.
I'm in agreement. In actual fact, upon listening to the album, I came away from it thinking, are the hits my least favorite songs on Permanent Vacation?
Yeah.
And I think
except for Angel. Angel's a fucking rad song.
From a power ballad standpoint, damn.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Magic Touch, dude. As soon as Magic Touch came on, I was like, oh, this is montage music. This is... I'm training in the Alps to go fight a Russian dude and break down the Berlin Wall.
We should. People should send our podcasts to Schwarzenegger and Stallone and be like, these guys should be getting a kickback for all of the
free promotion,
all of the promotion of Stallone and Schwarzenegger, because it's just happened. It happens all the time. Let off some steam, Bennett. That's one of my favorite. I love the villain in Commandos. The villain in Commando is so great because he's not your normal villain. He's almost like a weird, like, tough Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
And like every time I watch the movie, I'm like, God, that dude does not get enough credit for just being kind of a creepy, weird villain. And I love it. I love that guy. But that's like the best ending. He just throws a random pipe through his chest and he just goes, let off some steam, Bennett. One of my favorites is the one from Predator where he tosses that fucking knife through that dude and goes, stick around. Yeah. Yeah. The one that the little moment in that movie that is so dumb but makes me giggle every time is when Jesse Ventura's character dies, and then Schwarzenegger says something to the effect of, somebody help me with the body. It's like Jesse the Body Ventura. And I was like, I see what you did there, Schwartzy. See what you did there.
I always love the little twinkle in his eye when he says, I'm back, in Kindergarten Cop. You know, when he walks back into the room and it's like, we know what he's doing. Yeah. He's fucking awesome. Like
he is. And if you haven't watched it, it's not amazing, but I highly recommend the show Fubar on Netflix.
I saw that advertised, and shockingly, I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, it's got a lot of flaws to it, but they tried to do the feel of like True Lies, where it's action and a little bit funny too.
Yeah, I love True Lies.
And it's not like it's got tons of flaws, but for somebody that was raised on those kind of movies, just Schwarzenegger being back doing that shit, I'm like, I fucking love this. This is great.
Yeah.
So,
come to think of it, I have yet to introduce fiance to.
Did you just say fiance? Is she?
Yeah. I forgot to mention. Yeah, we're engaged. I forgot to mention.
When did that happen? Do you not want to go? We don't have to go into personal details. Did you already tell me that?
I can't remember if I did or not. Shit. Yeah.
I don't think that you did.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Sparxx is now off the market. Just so you know. Okay.
But I ain't gay, but $20 is $20. So, right.
Was that recent? Was that recent though?
How recent's November?
Motherfucker! I thought we were friends. I thought we were friends.
I'm sorry.
I understand. No, I tell you about my colonoscopy, but you can't tell me.
I'm sorry. I can't believe I never told you.
Anyway, maybe you did. Somebody that knows this podcast well. Did he actually tell me before? And I'm just a shitty friend, and I forgot. Anyway, congrats. I'm very happy for you.
Well, thank you. It's yeah. I rarely say the F word, so
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fucking Aerosmith.
Anyway, let's move on. All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I genuinely cannot believe I forgot to tell you.
It's fine. It happens. I mean, it's not like we talk all the time, but we do occasionally.
Yeah, it's cool. But sorry, dude. I wish I told you. Sorry.
it's all right.
Okay. So where is that? So
permanent vacation.
Yeah, ragdoll. Dude looks like a lady. I mean, me, I'm a hearts doing time, magic touch. The songs around the hits are the ones I'm interested in, and it's one of those albums. I mean, it's got that giant stadium feel to it, but I feel like they hadn't perfected it yet. But this album, just driving. When I was listening to this album for the purposes of this ranking, I was driving through an area that we had played recently called Perranporth, and it's a very coastal, beachy vibe. And there are pockets of where I live that you could be tricked into thinking you were in California to an extent.
Oh, okay.
And there's little pockets of coast, and when the weather's right, you're like, I'm gonna crank up some fucking 80s rock, blast it out of my van, and just act like the coolest motherfucker on the street.
Put on your pink Hawaiian shirt and tuck it into your tight jeans.
There's just something about driving down Perranporth High Street, with surfers all around you, feeling like you're in a scene from Point Break, blasting fucking Permanent Vacation out of your car. And you know what? I'm one of those people where I don't do it to get looked at. I do it because I like cold air and loud music, and those just go hand in hand. And when I'm feeling it, I fucking feel it. So
I'm with you. Cold air and loud music. Man, that's cold air. I fucking love cold air.
Yeah.
I mean, living in Texas, it's like the one of the best things in the world to me, because we don't get it often.
Yeah, so a cool breeze and obnoxiously loud rock is a vibe. So but yeah, honestly, like I say, I could go my whole life not hearing "Dude Looks Like a Lady" and be fine with it. But everything around this, around the hits, I'm just like, fucking hell yeah, dude. There's a Beatles cover at the end, and then there's a cool track called "The Movie." But really, Hearts Done Time Through Permanent Vacation is it's good fun. It's fun. At the end of the day, they rebranded perfectly at the right time. This is such a 1987 moment, in music. So yeah.
They took some chances, and it paid off. I mean, the Run DMC thing followed by Permanent Vacation. That's them taking. It could have backfired. Both things could have backfired, but
absolutely.
but they didn't.
Yeah, and it's great. I really enjoy it. Sorry, I'm trying to find the right little thing here. I've got to open up. Okay, yeah. So that's pretty much permanent vacation for me.
Sweet.
Over to you for your number three. No, three.
Yeah, yes. My number 3 is my favorite Aerosmith album, but I can't say it's their best because you never see me say that kind of shit. Like I get annoyed at people that are like, that's hands down their best album. And I always want to comment below it and say, you meant to say hands down your favorite.
Yeah.
Because that's stupid. My favorite though is Draw the Line from 1977.
Nice.
Which ended up being my number 3. Their 5th album, the most underappreciated Aerosmith album to me. I will grow on me. I will agree that it is I guess a step down from Rocks, but there are so many fucking songs on here that I absolutely love. 3 of my favorites, Draw the Line, obviously banger. Get It Up is I fucking love that one. and then Kings and Queens. Fantastic song. But every song, even the songs that like I don't think are as strong as others, they all have a riff or a groove or something in it that like it literally is. It's Aerosmith, but I will make the stank face to shit on Draw the Line.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking good. And once again, this is another album. This was like the beginning of everything kind of going to shit for the band, but I don't know how they do it. But they managed to just put out what I think is well, it's my favorite. I don't think it's their best. Really, the only gripe I have is I think the closer is not as it ruins the flow of the album. The Milk Cow Blues, the kind of cover on the end. I don't know if it's a cover or not, but it's the whole album feels like it's this cool hard rock album, and then they got to go back to like this basic ass bluesy shit. And that kind of loses me every time because I'm just like, okay, all right, so I get it. But it's still fun. It's just it doesn't end on a high note. But I love this album so much. It's my favorite Aerosmith album. But I think they did 2 that were just looking at them, in the bigger picture. I go, well, yeah, I think these are actually better. But yeah, that's my favorite. So that's my number 3.
Cool. Very nice. Very nice. Me likey. I have what's my number 2? Sorry, I had a complete Jim Carrey. So my number 2 is Toys in the Attic.
Hey, same here. That's my number 2.
Nice. And it's my favorite 70s Aerosmith album.
Okay.
And it's, I mean, let me get this motherfucker up here. Where are you? Toys in the Attic. So, I mean, it's an incredible album. It's an icon of 70s rock. It's usually this one and Rocks that get talked about in like influential. Yeah. In the influential thing. And it's got Sweet Emotion on it. That song alone is just a mic drop song. It's like, write one of those. Walk This Way. Walk This Way. The original version. Mm-hmm. It's good fun. It's good fun. You See Me Crying. I mean, those are the singles, but I mean, Toys in the Attic. What a barn burner of an opening song. And you got your fun track, big 10-inch record. It's a cover, but it's good fun. Yeah. And it fits Aerosmith perfectly. That kind of tongue-in-cheek sex rock vibe on. Yeah. Man, it's just an ass kicker, dude. And the reason I love this just that bit more than Rocks is that Oh,
my dog.
Someone likes rocks more than toys in the attic. I think rocks is kind of sure of itself, whereas like toys in the attic still sounds like it has something to prove.
Yeah,
And, like it has that like Ride the Lightning versus Master of Puppets vibe to it, where
I would agree with that.
I find myself gravitating towards Ride the Lightning that little bit more because it's still a little bit hungry and rough around the edges compared to the more technically perfect Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a great album, and it's got a really interesting album cover as well. It's got one of those album covers that makes you stop and kind of look at what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh man, toys in the attic, toys. Oh, it's just
one of my favorite Aerosmith songs on here is "No More, No More." I don't know why that one connects with me, but I absolutely love that song. But yeah, this is also my number 3, and it was the album that kind of broke them big time, and it's got classics that, in my opinion, Walk This Way is not. I like Walk This Way, it's not one like it's not in my top Aerosmith songs.
Yeah, it's one of those that has that renewed hit factor with a collaboration,
Yeah. But yeah, I think that like it's tough to rank these albums like for me because like I said, like we've already talked about like my 2 favorites, but like just listening to these in order, and I was just listening to the progression between from Get Your Wings to this, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is fucking a massive step forward in songwriting and everything, and I get why, because obviously I wasn't alive in 75 yet, but I get why this was the one that kind of like broke them, because it just it's that fucking good of an album. I couldn't really find, very much to not love about this one. It's just, it doesn't have the same energy that the following 3 albums, in my opinion, have, which are the ones that I love the most. But yeah, so there's some albums that you kind of go, well, this is a classic for a reason. It's not, it's, if somebody says like, this is the best Aerosmith album, after correcting them and saying, well, you should say favorite, I would also be like, well, I can't really argue with you because there's so much about it that is just so fucking good that it makes sense. So, but I don't think it didn't feel right putting it at number 1, so it ends up also being my number 2. Can I go on record first and say, sometimes this happens with you and me, but our number 1s together, I'm very happy with this. It feels very good. The 2 albums that we have at number 1, it feels right.
Yeah, so like we've got different ones, but they deserve the recognition.
They both feel good as number 1s, so I'm glad. So you go and start with your number 1, Aerosmith, number 1.
Cool. Sorry. My Aerosmith number 1 is Pump. Yep. Pump is the proverbial ham in the glam sandwich that is Permanent Vacation, Pump, and Get a Grip. Of this hair metal era rebrand as we're calling it. Pump to me is just such a cohesive slab of rock. I mean, that this thing is just so. It's just so good, man. Loving an Elevator. Janie's got a gun. I mean, Loving an Elevator in stark contrast to Dude Looks Like a Lady. I never get sick of Loving an Elevator. Loving an Elevator is like, it's so packed with naughty fucking riffs that I'm just, it brings an equal amount of sleaze and polish to the table that really makes this album. Yeah.
The interesting thing about Love in an Elevator for me is that it's deceptive in my brain because I see the title Love in an Elevator and I go, that song's getting old. That song is not one of their best. But once it really gets going, I'm like, oh, what the fuck am I thinking? This song fucking rules. So,
those riffs in the middle is that. Oh,
and it's and the background vocals, the whoa, yeah, those are like so perfectly done. Like sometimes like gang vocal type things are sometimes too much or not enough. Like those are just, they feel so good right there in that part of the song. So I'm just like, it's just a very well done album overall. But yeah,
absolutely, and you know a completely different style of song, but equally awesome is Janie's Got a Gun, man. Like
that's an amazing song. That's amazing songwriting to me. It's still, I hear it and parts of it give me chills. It's just so good. So good.
Yeah. Man, an interesting thing about the track listing on this album is like a lot of the tracks are like shared with like a little slash.
Like an intro.
There. Yeah, like a little intro. But in contrast to Get a Grip, everything here flows.
Yeah.
Whereas there's parts of Get a Grip I could do without that I think would make it a stronger album.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a bit more quality control in terms of track listing? However, this is just so well put together, man. I mean, I was listening to this again. It was a sunny day, and it's surprising. Like people often forget that, you know, where you're at, the vibe of an area you're in can affect your enjoyment of something.
Yeah.
And so when it's like a really sunny day and you're listening to this, just barreling down a road, you know, where you can go fast within the legal limit. Wasn't me. Right. So, that was an area of the A30 that is heavily speed cameraed, so I wouldn't risk it anyway. On the flip side, you know, going 69 into 70. That's a good name for an Aerosmith song, 69 into 70. Yeah. That'd be fucking sweet.
With the way it sounds like a song that they could write now because they're all 70.
Yeah. 69ing a 70. Dude. Oh, that's great. But yeah, honestly, I mean, this whole album, right the way through, is just incredibly put together. It's a late 80s masterpiece of sleaze, polished sleaze. Yeah. And it's damn good. Anyway, you know, man, I find myself at a loss for words when I was listening to this, because I was like, I'm having such a good fucking time, and then the album was like done, and I thought to myself, that was transcendental.
Also, like what it takes as an album closer is so great. I love that song, but the choice to put that as the last track is fucking great. It just wraps everything up really nicely.
And it balances it walks that tightrope of, is this hard rock or is this pop metal?
Yeah.
Both. It's straight down the middle, and it works perfectly for this band. So yeah, with that, I guess it's over to you.
Right. My number one is Rocks from 1976. Mm-hmm. I will go on record and say, in my opinion, this is a perfect album. There is nothing that I would change about this album. Every song is great. The sequencing is great. The production is great. I love how it sounds, and it's got absolute classics on it. It's got Back in the Saddle. It's got fucking Sick as a Dog is one of my favorite Aerosmith songs. Last Child is amazing. Of course, Nobody's Fault. This was an album where, sometimes when we're doing the rankings, my notes will just be me writing down song titles because it was like, oh fuck, this is on this too. So that's kind of how I feel about Rocks. It's just, you don't even need an explanation. Just fucking push play and listen to the album all the way through. Just push play. They did an album called that ended up way at the end of the ranking. But Rocks is the one that you can just push play on or drop the needle if you're so inclined. And then, yeah. And I think that, remember when we did our favorites of 1976 episode?
Yeah.
I talked about how Rocks, I feel like Rocks almost feels like a concept album to me. It feels like a night out with the boys. Yeah. Beginning with getting ready to go out, to going out and getting into some trouble, and then finally at the end, you're like exhausted from it all, and you're calling your lady, and you're like, I'm coming home, and that's and it's just one of those albums that it feels like you're on a night out with Aerosmith, and I love it. I love Rocks. Not my favorite. It's my third favorite. This is my third favorite, but it's only because I think probably because I'm attracted to the albums with the flaws. I don't know what the fuck's going on out there, and I'm sorry.
I love Rocks. I love Rocks. Rocks is great. I love Rocks.
They all agree. Anyway, so yeah, like Rocks is undeniably perfect. I had to put it at number one. Nice. And it's because really, like I said, Rocks, Draw the Line, Night at the Ruts, Night in the Ruts. That trilogy of albums for me is just peak Aerosmith. Mm-hmm. But I do really love Pump, so I'm very glad that it was your number one. So because that was the one that I thought, could Pump be number one or number two? I was so convinced that it was just going to shoot right up to the top, but it didn't. But I'm glad it did for you. So that ends very nicely because we get the kind of what I think are the best of the both of the eras.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Kiss, Aerosmith. Anyway. All right. Well, there's shit going on with my dogs, so I guess we should wrap things up. Do you have any parting words for the peeps, for the what are they called? Peanut butter platypuses, aluminium squirrels, Belvedere ball sitters.
Oh, the fuck! You beat me to it.
And
fuck.
Christmas dog.
Christmas dog. So that's how long it's been since we've wrapped up an episode, man. Like, yeah. Also, yeah, to everybody out there, sorry that this has taken so fucking long. I've been trying to get my personal life sorted out, and I finally now have like a weekly system where I can work around it now. But holy shit, the last month has been intense.
And then on top of that, if you missed us last week, Eddie, on top of all that, had car trouble. Yeah. So it's just like, I was
on my way over here, realized my car needed repairs. So yeah.
What we need to do is we need sponsors, and we need people to blow up this podcast to where we start making shitloads of money, and then Eddie can afford like a really big house with a studio in it, and he doesn't have to go anywhere to do these episodes.
Just another fucking room would do.
I'm thinking big. Yeah. I'm thinking big.
Yeah, yeah. But at this point, if I could just pick up this room and tack it on to like the side of my my actual residence, because this is my family's home. But they're kind enough to let me have a studio here, which is cool. But yeah, like I say, forever grateful for that. That being said, it would be cool to have a kick-ass cranked and ranked palace.
Yeah. This just came into my brain when it comes to British slang. When you use the term flat, does that only refer to an apartment, or can that be any dwelling? When you say flat,
A flat is an apartment. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Our our flat or apartment isn't a huge one, but it's comfy and it's got a lot of niceties for a price that you don't normally get down here, and that is that's a perfect example of schmoozing and who you know, really.
Yeah.
So to my angel of a landlady, thank you very much.
Hey, angel, come and save me tonight. Anyway, all right. But if all goes well, you will see us all, or hear us all next week.
Yes,
when we come back for something else.
Are we? Now, we don't usually do these sorts of meetings on here, but I thought I'd give it a go.
A little added bonus behind the scenes, BTS.
A little behind the scenes action here. So I have it down that we have a little anniversary episode that we were going to do.
Yes.
Do we have that figured out? Or
yeah.
Is that good? Cool. Nice.
I think that we should be able to do it, and I think we should go ahead and get it out of the way because we passed our anniversary.
Yeah, let's get that done. Yeah,
we're going to be doing a special episode celebrating the anniversary of this podcast, which started sometime in the beginning of June of 2020.
I think we may have recorded in May.
Well, you're talking about the Metallica one that never came out.
Yeah, the lost episode that my recorder shit it about 40 minutes in.
But the very first the episode came out.
Yeah.
In sometime in June. I don't remember the exact date. I'll know next time when we do the episode.
But boy, oh boy, do we have an exciting and extremely varied roster coming up.
We do.
We do.
Indeed, we do.
We've entered the little bit of something of everything for everyone point in this podcast where we are going to curveball it up. And, from that little month hiatus, we're coming back and we're coming back strong. So,
all right.
Yeah. And something I will mention as well, really heartwarming to see concerned comments saying, hey guys, where the fuck have you gone? Basically. And it's like, it's oh my God, someone wants me here.
Yeah. We may not have a ton of fans, but we have some great ones. So,
absolutely.
So thank you all. Thank the fans.
Best fans in the world.
And anybody that's I've actually said the word fans and it felt okay. I normally feel like I'm a fan, and so why would I have fans of a fan? That seems weird. but thank you. Even if this is your first episode that you've heard of us, we appreciate you, and we hope to see you again. So we'll be back with a special anniversary edition of Cranked and Ranked, or whatever we call it. It'll just be Cranked and Ranked. Yeah. We're not actually going to rank anything, but we might find something to rank it within it. Anyway, all right, that's it. I'm going to get the fuck out of here. Thank you all for listening and or watching. And as what
we forgot to do a little something.
Holy shit, we did! Oh my God, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's cool. We caught it before it became a problem.
God damn.
Cool. We almost forgot a very important part.
I would have woken up in the middle of the night and been like in a cold sweat.
Yeah. We didn't.
All right, sorry. We finished Aerosmith, and as we normally do on this podcast, holy shit, this is what we do. 3, 2, 1,
yeah! We did it!
My little thing popped up that said playing music. I'm like, oh, did it sound that good? Did it sound that good? Anyway.
Nice.
All right. So now we're done. Thank you very much. And I will throw it over to Mr. Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Later, dude. Later, dude. Later, dude. Now see you go another back door.
For a second there, I was like, what fucking song is that?